I genuinely believe that yesterday's welfare reform bill and all the chaos surrounding it was Keir Starmer's poll tax moment. Just like Thatcher's fatal misstep, this could prove to be the pivotal fracture point for Labour. It's already shaping up to be a strategic and communications disaster. When Labour came into power last year, one of their first claims was that they had inherited a £22 billion black hole from the previous government, but there's been no real transparency. On that figure, no detailed accounting, no public documentation. It's simply become a convenient excuse for cuts with no audit trail. And yet, despite this supposed deficit, it's been spend in all other directions. We've seen billions allocated to foreign infrastructure projects, major regional transport investments in the North and Midlands, breakfast clubs, childcare expansions, and housing targets.
Ow.
I'm not questioning the need for good public investment, but the contradiction is stark. On one hand, they're claiming austerity and tightening belts. On the other, they're throwing billions around. The result? Austerity is being selectively applied, and it's the sick, disabled, and economically vulnerable who are being targeted. This double standard hasn't gone unnoticed within the party. Nearly 50 Labour MPs rebelled and voted against the bill. That's a significant revolt, even if it wasn't enough to stop the legislation due to Labour's overwhelming majority. But politically, it matters. The image of unity is fracturing, and Starmer is starting to look cornered. Even Angela Rayner remarked that he looks exhausted, and he does. Pressure's visible. Look at the footage from the Commons. Starmer. Rayner and Reeves all sat together during his speech on the government's so-called achievements. Rayner looked cold, unengaged, staring ahead with no expression. And Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, looked like she was on the verge of a breakdown. Zoom in on the stills being circulated. There appear to be tears, and you have to ask yourself, why? Because if this policy unravels, and it's looking like it might, someone has to take the fall, and it won't be Starmer, it'll be Reeves. Shaping up to be the scapegoat. That was made even more obvious during the exchange with Kemi Badana, who challenged Starmer directly, asking whether Reeves would still be in number 11 in 6 months' time. He couldn't answer. And that says everything you need to know. Meanwhile, Yvette Cooper was nowhere in the picture. And you get the feeling that this front bench is starting to splinter under pressure, ideologically, strategically, even personally. You can see the fractures if you know where to look. So here we are. Labour's leadership team is vulnerable. The press is circling. The public is losing patience. And the party's moral credibility is on the line. The very values they claim to champion, dignity, support for the vulnerable, compassion, are being traded for spreadsheet economics and political expediency. The big question now is whether this all blows up sooner rather than later. Do we see a leadership challenge? Do we end up heading to the polls early? Or are we stuck watching this mess unfold slowly for the next 4 years? Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think Labour will survive this intact? Or are we watching the early stages of another political collapse? Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more. Speak soon.